This is Solve It for Kids.
Hello, my amazing and curious friends. My name is Jennifer, the Dean of all things STEM and STEAM, and this is Solve It for Kids, the science podcast that gives kids and families a peek inside the real world of scientists, engineers, and experts as they solve problems in their jobs using creativity, cooperation, and critical thinking. And now please welcome to the show my podcast partner, Galactic Space Geek, Jeff Gagne.
Hello, Jennifer, and hello, listeners. Oh, I think we have a very interesting episode today because we are going to be talking about a topic and a whole lot of creatures that I'm not sure everybody's going to like, at least to start, but we may change some minds.
Yes, absolutely. So what problem are we solving today?
Why should we care about bugs?
Oh, why should we care about bugs? Well, bugs, I think, are pretty important to our world. And I think we have some amazing people to talk to about this. Who are our guests today, Jeff?
You are right on both counts, Jen, and we have the guests to talk about for bugs today. We have Kristie Reddick and Jess Honaker. They are both entomologists, and they are also known as the Bug Chicks.
Welcome to the show, Kristie and Jess.
Hi, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, well, we are so excited to have you because we're going to talk about bugs, right? Which some of us love and some of us are, think they're cool, but maybe not so close, right?
Yeah.
So we like to start out with, as kids, did both of you always love bugs?
I love this question.
Awesome.
For me, I would say that I grew up pretty rural, and so bugs were everywhere. Bugs were a part of life, and I didn't honestly think much about them. I didn't really care one way or the other because I didn't feel like they really impacted how I was going through my day. And so for me, I was just kind of like, meh, they were there, and I didn't really give them much thought beyond that.
Okay.
I was terrified of spiders in particular, like specifically spiders. I was very, very afraid of them. And I loved animals. Okay, I'm going to be real clear. I was a real animal lover, but I did not make the connection until I was older that bugs, and when we say bugs, we mean arthropods. These are animals with exoskeletons and jointed legs, right? Jointed appendages.
Okay.
That they are animals. I didn't make that connection. And so I was very afraid of them. And my mother, it actually came from my mother. My mother was very afraid that I was going to get bitten by a spider. And so fear is contagious. And so I think, and I've spoken with my mother about this a lot, that she sort of helped me be more afraid because she was so afraid for me because she cared about me very, very deeply.
Right. Yep. That can happen.
Yeah.
That totally answers my first question on, do you remember why you might have been scared of them? So that's totally cool. Jess, I love the fact that yours was very indifferent. Like, I grew up and there were bugs, but I didn't really think about them one way or the other. So for each of you, one starting fearful, one starting indifferent, how did you grow into being a bug chick?
Well, for me, it was like that sort of indifference continued for me through college. My original plan was to do physical therapy. And so that was my track when I started in college. And then I was late registering for classes. And then I ended up picking an upper level science class because I needed that credit.
Right.
And it was an invertebrate zoology class.
Oh.
And so it wasn't like, arthropod specific. It was also like mollusks and slugs and, stuff like that. And so I took that class and the professor was awesome.
Oh, that can do it sometimes, right?
Yeah, definitely. And his name was Jim Joy. I mean, his name still is Jim Joy. But, he showed me that oh, I am actually impacted by these animals, which was not something that I really considered it.
Right.
And so I was able
Right.
to move from that feeling of indifference to being like, they don't really have anything to do with me, to being like, oh no, they actually have everything to do with me and with everybody else on the planet. And so that really shifted how I viewed those animals. And so I started working in his lab, dissecting mosquito larvae, which is
Wow.
intense. and
And tiny,
Sounds
right? Like
tiny. It was all under a microscope.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
With super, super pointy little forceps. And forceps
Yeah.
are like tweezers, like science tweezers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that sort of started my path into entomology. And then I scrapped physical therapy and I was like, I'm going to do bugs. And so I applied for grad school at Texas A&M.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Kristie, did you have a similar kind of story there? No.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Nope. Well, it's funny. I have sort of a tale of two teachers. So I grew up as a dancer and an actor. So I grew up
Ah.
on stage and I didn't really, I mean, I spent time outside, but I was like in a theater like my whole life growing up. And it was just expected that I was going to be an actor. And I loved it. But
Ah.
I had this secret dream that I wanted to study animals in Africa. I had
Wow.
this burning desire, and I also was really into whales. And so
Oh,
in
well,
eighth
who is
grade,
it? Yeah.
I mean, who's
Whales
not
are
into whales?
cool,
I don't even
right?
understand like what people do if they're not into whales. How do they
Right?
not think about them every day?
Exactly.
So when I was in eighth grade, I had a science teacher, and you had to test into the marine biology class in
Oh,
ninth
okay.
grade. And I
Yeah.
asked my teacher if I could take the test, and she said, "Oh, you don't have any aptitude for science. You should stick to what you're good at. You're
Oh,
so good
no.
on stage." And so this is where a teacher can
No.
really sort of make or break. And I want to tell every student, teacher, parent, every person out there who is listening right
Yeah.
now, that if you have something that you really want to try and do, you make
Yes.
that choice.
Yes.
No one else really knows your aptitude. You don't even know what you're capable of yet. You are capable of so much more than you think that you are.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I believed her and I thought, oh, I guess I just am not good at science. And I went in and I have a degree now in theater and dance. And I went all the
Okay.
way through. And then I still had that secret dream. And I went, man, if I don't get to Africa now, I'm not going to do it. So I went back to school, met a professor, another teacher,
Right.
Dr. Tim Yoho, and he was my entomology teacher. And it was the semester before I went study abroad in Kenya to study elephants and lions
Oh,
and I mean
wow. Right, the big,
but
cool
the big
animals.
ones, right? The classics. And I took one entomology course and I was like, oh, this is it. And then I went to Kenya and everyone is looking at the elephants and I loved it. I loved all of the large
Right.
mammal stuff, but I fell in love with a camel spider and never looked back. I
Wait.
never looked back.
But you were afraid of spiders.
It is
How did this
amazing.
happen?
It is amazing. Fear and fascination are two sides of the same coin. And really, we are afraid of the things that we don't understand. We are afraid of the
Yes,
things that
that's true.
feel very different from us. But once you start to learn about the things that are really different from you, I think it really can shift to fascination. And because Dr. Yoho was so, he was like a bright light. He was like a Christmas tree walking around, but it was
Oh,
about
nice.
bugs.
Yeah.
And his enthusiasm for teaching and for learning really just lit a fire in me. And so, yeah, find the people who light you up and
Yes.
work with those people. And that's how we teach now. I mean, we bring the joy, we bring the enthusiasm. We actually call it joy enthusiasm. And it's okay to be afraid. What is not okay is to close our brains away
Right.
because we
Right.
are afraid. Like, let's just learn about it and then let's see how we're feeling. Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads into our big question. Why should we care about bugs? And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I'm very interested in this response here. What do you think?
I'm interested in any response from both of them.
Yeah.
Why should we care about bugs? People, do you like to eat?
Yes.
Why, yes, I do.
Yes.
That's an excellent cool. Cool. Do you like to
But-
breathe?
Yes. That's helpful. It's
Yeah,
helpful.
it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Basically, bugs, arthropods, are responsible for keeping our planet in balance and for keeping our planet sort of moving forward.
Oh, wow.
like we've all heard about pollinators and how pollinators help to create our foods and they pollinate the plants that grow our food. That's very clear. And I think when people remind themselves about that, they go, oh yeah, pollinators, oh, food, food, food.
Yes.
But the more interesting one to me are the decomposers.
Yes, that's where I thought. I wondered if you were going there. I've heard that too. Yeah.
The bugs that are breaking things down in collaboration with bacteria and all sorts of things. Like there's all sorts of things that live in the soil, microbes and things, but bugs are really the first line of defense for breaking things down. And so if you think about animals like cockroaches, like termites, these two, humans love to hate cockroaches and termites.
Yeah.
But
I live in Florida. We call them palmetto bugs, right?
I get it.
So it makes them happier or something? I don't know.
Let's talk about cockroaches for a second. There are 4,000 different species of cockroach.
No
As
way.
humans, and I'm just going to say as humans in America, in the United States of America, we see about 3 to 4 different species that are pests of humans. And we think, oh, those are all the cockroaches. There are so many species of cockroach that are living in forests all over the world that are breaking down wood. They have special bacteria in their guts that break down the wood, and that wood decomposes, and then termites will come and eat, and they will recycle the nutrients from way far down in the soil. They bring nutrients up from deep in the soil. And so if you think about it like a mixing bowl of soil, and then turn that into the world, they are the mixers of the soil. And without healthy soils, we don't have trees and plants. And without trees and plants, we don't have oxygen to breathe. I mean, it's a pretty direct line. And I'm simplifying it. I get that I'm simplifying it, but sometimes we need to think about things in big, simple terms to really understand that it's not just the things that affect us negatively. Like I know that the pest cockroaches are irritating and some of them cause allergens and allergies, and they can be a little bit intense and gross, but they're not the full story.
And I'm going to tie onto that too with animals like wasps, right? Where people are concerned that, and spiders too, right? People are concerned that they're going to be hurt by these animals, but they are necessary to keep pest populations in control. If we didn't have things like wasps, if we didn't have things like spiders, then the little teeny tiny bugs that like get into our houses that we don't want there, the spiders wouldn't eat them, and then they would, be a nuisance pest for us. In the garden, like wasps go after things like caterpillars, they go after like other larval bugs, and it's like that's their food source. And so these other animals that we're afraid of actually benefit us by keeping pest populations under control.
Yeah. I mean, wasps are, I literally wrote here, I wrote a little note. It's like, why should I care about bugs? Age 10. And then I wrote wasps. I have 3 things written down. Wasps is the third one. Because we love to talk about wasps.
They're scary when they're coming at you. Right?
I get it. Well, okay. So this is huge. This is the thing that I think, and this is the thing that happened for Jessica, I think, when she was learning about bugs. And this is the thing that happened for me, especially with the camel spiders or the arachnids that I study. Humans, we think we are the star of every show. We think everything is about us. Okay. Everything is focused on us. And I get it.
It's not.
I know, Jeff's like, hello. Hello.
I'm on the wrong podcast here.
But when you switch out of that and you start to think about the world as interconnected species or interconnected pieces that are moving together, we have a huge impact on the planet as humans, and we have a huge effect. But there are also other organisms that have similar impact. And so wasps are not out to get you. Wasps are trying to protect their home nest or their hive. And so if you switch it to the idea of like, well, if somebody came at me, I would protect myself, or I would protect my kids, or I would protect my friends, or whatever, right? And so when you start to think about it like, well, that's not so different from how humans behave. They have stingers, and that's intense. But the stinger stings, the stinger stings the caterpillar. And when the wasp, so if you're at, let's say you're at a backyard barbecue and you're eating like a piece of chicken or something, and you see a yellow jacket. Yellow jackets are pretty famous for this,
Yes.
okay? A
Mhm.
yellow
Okay.
jacket will come over and they'll land near your chicken. They're attracted to the sweet smelling something of your
Yes.
sodas.
Okay.
But then they'll come over to your chicken. If you sit there for a second and just watch, they will rip with their mandibles a piece of chicken off of the chicken, and then they will fly away. But that wasp is not eating the chicken. That wasp is feeding her baby sisters, because her baby sisters are larvae, and they're basically like little head capsules with a bag of flesh. They don't have wastes. They can eat the chicken, but a wasp has a tiny little waist. You know how they've got that tiny, teeny little waist? Fully grown wasps with wings are drinking smoothies. They're not eating meat. So it's not like, oh, that wasp is stealing it for itself. It's taking it to go feed the sisters in the hive. It's taking care of its family. And so that shift in understanding can help you. Also, don't freak out in 3D space where a wasp is flying. If you freak out with your arms waving around, the wasp is trying to maneuver in air. You are creating more drama than necessary. Try to stay still, and if you are afraid, just back away slowly. It doesn't always work, and sometimes we are allergic to the stings, and we need to be careful. I'm not saying go make friends with everything. I'm saying
that's good.
I'm saying we don't need to be enemies with everything at the same time.
Yeah, because sometimes too they're a little curious. You know, they're just checking you out. Maybe you're wearing a super bright colored shirt that they're attracted to, and they're like, "Are you a flower? Excuse me, you know, excuse me while I come over and smell you." You know, and so like Kristie said, being able to sort of like maintain that chill can just actually lead to kind of a really special experience. You know, it sounds a little silly, but when you are able to experience something getting close to you and it's like, yeah, all right, you're fine. And then it flies away and you're like, yeah, all right, that was fine. And you walk away and you're like, that was a success.
That's an animal encounter, people.
I'm just imagining myself at my next summer picnic. I've got a plate of food outside, sitting around other people, and a wasp or a yellow jacket flies by my plate. And I just sit back and I'm like, hey, buddy, the better chicken's on this side. Here, right over here. Yeah, get some honey. Don't get in the barbecue sauce and have it fly away. I think I'm getting carted off to the loony bin by my friends because I just had an animal encounter out in front of all my friends.
Or you're sitting at the table by yourself because everybody ran away.
Right.
Or you are the hero of the picnic. And everybody thinks you are so cool.
There it is. So you mentioned it one time really quickly. We talk about bugs as a huge category of every little animal that's out there.
Yeah.
Could I ask both of you to just kind of expand on what is that bigger word we just did, arthropod?
Yes.
Yeah. So an arthropod is a scientific classification, right, of animals. And arthropod is kind of like a big umbrella term, and it encompasses all of the different animals that have an exoskeleton and 6 or more jointed legs. And so 6 or more. So there's insects that have the 6 legs, right? There's arachnids that have 8 legs. There are crabs, like the crustaceans, crabs, shrimps, lobsters, crawdads, and
centipedes and millipedes.
Thank you. Centipedes and millipedes.
Which have
also,
way more legs.
Which have way more legs.
Yes.
And also there's things like horseshoe crabs, which are not technically crustaceans. They are a different kind of animal.
They are cool looking, aren't they?
They are cool.
They're so
ancient.
Yes.
We had an incredible encounter with a horseshoe crab on the coast of Maryland and Assateague Island. There were wild ponies behind us.
Right. Yeah.
And horseshoe crab. I mean, I was in horse heaven. I was a horseshoe crabs, a wild horse.
It was amazing.
It was a dream. Yes. And so you have to think about some of these characteristics, right? These jointed, and I'm going to use the word appendages, and that just means, that could mean antennae. It could mean legs. It could mean some of the sensory organs. You know how like on a silverfish, they've got those like tail things that come off the
Right.
back?
Yeah.
Those are segmented. So they've got
okay.
segmented bodies and segmented
Mhm.
appendages. And they've got that exoskeleton, which can be hard, but it also can be soft. If you think about a caterpillar, that's exoskeleton. It's just very soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, this is arthropods, and it makes up
There's
the largest
so many
group of
different
animals.
types.
There are.
Oh,
There's,
man.
there's millions. In the science world, we say that described insects, which would be the ones that have science names, right? Like
Right.
there are about 1 million described insects. They estimate that there are 4 million, but we are losing
Wow.
species faster than scientists can
Yeah.
name them or can describe
Yeah.
them. There are, underneath the arachnids, it's not just spiders. It's scorpions, which are not spiders, but they are arachnids.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
ticks
Okay.
and mites. It's vinegaroons, which is a kind of animal that sprays vinegar out of its bum into the eyeballs of predators. And it's here in the United States, and it has no venom. Jessica, do you
Never
have?
heard of these.
I do
Where
have
do
it.
you find
Do you want
them?
to see one?
We
Yes!
have one.
Oh, yes.
Okay, hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jessica's going to go get Tori, our vinegaroon.
Where do you find these?
Well, this one
I
is
also have a
native
whip
to
scorpion.
West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, a little bit of Arizona, and northern Mexico. I think it's the coolest animal in North America. They
What's
have
it
no
called
venom.
again? Vinegaroon?
A vinegaroon.
I've never heard of these. Have you heard of
Yeah,
these,
this
Jess?
is-
I've
No.
They're wild. They're so cool. They have no
No,
venom.
this
They
is
are an
awesome.
arachnid with no venom, and they don't make silk.
wow.
Jess,
It
can you
looks like a
stand?
So big.
Yeah,
It's
and
the
kind of
actually, I'm
length
looks
of
gonna
like
her
a
stand
fingers.
giant
There we go.
ant
A lighter
thing,
background.
doesn't it? Kind
Now,
of look like a giant ant.
It does a little bit. Yes, absolutely. You're looking at that big abdomen in the back, and then that
Right.
tail that pokes off the back there. And then you see the things that are moving in the front like
Right
that?
here.
So
Yeah.
those are the
Yes.
first pair of legs. Arachnids don't have antennae, so often they'll
That's-
use
those
their
are legs?
first pair of legs like antennae to see their way around because they don't have great eyesight.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to ask. Does it have a name?
Yeah. Tori.
What is?
This is
What-
Tori.
Oh, this
This is
is
Tori.
Tori. I was going to
Hi,
say.
Tori.
You
We
have
named
to
them-
name them.
Oh
we
my.
name all of our
It
animals.
is-
This one's named after a scientist that we know in Seattle.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. I have never seen one of those.
No.
Never heard about one of those.
They're so
Neat.
special.
And it shoots vinegar out its butt.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and it would sort of like wags that tail like this
Yeah.
to get it up in
Okay.
the air.
And the
Okay.
vinegar, it's not like a hose of vinegar. It's not like a stream of vinegar. It's like a puff.
But that would be cool.
because there's another acid
That would
that
be
it makes in its abdomen. They have this other
Okay.
acid that turns it into little tiny droplets. And so all of a sudden you'll just smell like salad dressing and you're like, what's going on? And it's
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And
All
it's
right, what else do you got,
Okay.
Jess? You said you had something. Did you have something else?
well, I mean, we have so many things.
we have all the things.
Do you want to see the most beautiful butterfly on the planet?
Sure.
Why,
Okay.
yes.
All of our different.
If anybody says no to that,
I mean, I don't even know what's going on. So Jessica and I are lucky enough that we get to go to the Peruvian Amazon rainforest every year.
Wow.
And we get to see
Oh,
blue morpho butterflies.
I've seen pictures of those.
Aren't they
And look at
incredible?
that- look at
Gorgeous.
that reflection. It's so gorgeous.
oh,
Yeah.
So you're
my
seeing
goodness.
a blue to purple shift there, but this butterfly is actually sort of a light dusky gray. We
Mhm.
experience it as blue to purple because of refraction. It's like tiny little prisms. And I'll
Okay.
show you under the microscope.
But okay, so how big would you say across is that?
6
6
inches?
inches?
Yeah, it's bigger than my face.
It's Christie's
Yeah.
face width
Gosh.
as an official unit of measurement.
the vinegaroon was as long as Jess's fingers.
Mm-hmm.
The blue butterfly is Christie's face.
So
Exactly.
now
We're very
here-
scientific over here.
Here it's underneath the microscope, and you can see the little scales.
Oh,
So butterflies and moths
wow.
have scales on their wings. It's why when you're told as kids don't rub their wings because the dust
Yeah.
will get on your fingers. Well, the dust is little scales, which are flattened hairs.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Look at the detail.
Yeah, and you,
Yeah.
Incredible.
and you can see sort of the wave in the wing too, where the light comes into those scales
Right,
at the
yeah.
different angles.
Yeah.
Right.
And so there's
It's
there's
like-
microscopic prisms that shoot out just the BIV part of the rainbow, the blue, indigo, violet.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Looking at it this closely in the microscope, it looks like a very zoomed in image of the moon through a large telescope where you can see the light coming in on one side causing a shadow. But then your brain remembers, oh, wait, this is the wing of a butterfly. So it's totally tiny, but light still acts the same exact way as one half of a crater is lit up while the other half of the crater is in complete darkness. I could see that right in the hairs of the butterfly wing.
Oh, I love that.
That is so cool.
Jeff, that was amazing.
Science, yes.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. So this is the back of the butterfly or the underneath of the butterfly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Which I think is equally
it
as
looks
spectacular.
completely
right?
different.
Completely different browns, gorgeous shades of brown, and these eye spots.
Right. To
And
fool
it
the
totally
predators
looks like
or
it's
whatever.
going to blend in
Yeah.
and be
Yes.
a chameleon. Like it'll be sitting on a tree and we will be hiking through the.
Oh wow, yeah. It looks like an eyeball.
It looks like a wet eyeball, even with the reflection part in it. Yeah, I love it. To me, it looks like a frog eyeball.
Wow. It does.
Yeah.
Well, and that's to fool the predators so they
Exactly.
they don't know where the head is, I assume.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cool.
And when we're in the rainforest and you see them flying, right, and they're like flashes of blue, but when they rest, when you can walk right past them on a trail and not even know they're there. They blend in so well with their surroundings.
Wow.
It's insane.
That is crazy.
That's
Okay,
incredible.
Kristie, we were talking before. Do you have your tarantula?
Well, I do.
I think
Jennifer, I'm so proud of you for asking.
I think it's time. So now, Jennifer, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Because we're talking about why should we care about bugs, right?
Right.
And I don't want to call you out, but we were talking a little bit before, and you were saying that you're not the biggest fan of.
No.
Is it just tarantulas or is it spiders in general?
Probably just the big ones. Because when I was a kid, I grew up in central Illinois. So like you, Jess, I was in the backyard. We had a creek. So there were bugs everywhere. And, you just lived with them. You just kind of avoid them. You prefer they not come in your house, whatever. So, we used to capture spiders. And my mom was a huge proponent. She was like, no, don't squish the spider. Even a long time ago, you capture the spider and you take it outside and everything. The big ones, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like a tarantula is a little bit bigger than I really want to get close to. I have great respect for them.
How do you feel about puppies?
Oh, well, I love puppies.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because puppies, no tarantula is
Loaded
really
question.
bigger than a puppy. You know what I mean? And they're both.
Wait, what?
They both have hair.
Well, yeah, but it's
They both
bigger
have
than a puppy.
This isn't bigger than a puppy. I don't know what kind
Okay,
of puppy
well,
you're hanging
so
out with.
I have a
poodles.
Bernese Mountain Dog. It's a lot bigger. My puppy was a lot bigger.
Yeah,
than that.
puppies are bigger than these.
Okay, so when do they sting you, right? This is what you're afraid of, right? When would they, do they sting or bite? What do they do?
They bite. They
bite?
have fangs, and the venom is in their fangs. And the venom is not really meant for us. It's meant for defense if they have to.
Okay.
But they need their venom in order to eat their food. If we devenomed, we get a lot of questions from kids about oh, did you devenom or did you defang your tarantula? No.
Right.
So the venom is in there and it does two things. It turns a cricket into a cricket milkshake. It immobilizes the cricket, makes it go still, and then it turns it into a cricket milkshake or a cricket smoothie. Because she doesn't have bottom jaw, and so she needs to kind of slurp up the slurry of cricket, and so she needs the venom to eat it, kind of like applesauce, a little bit like applesauce. Now, is she biting my face?
No.
Is she attacking?
She is not.
No. She
No.
If I
For those of us
squeezed her-
listening.
if I squeezed her, would she bite me?
Maybe. Yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would she be threatened? I guess
Yeah.
when they're threatened is when
Yeah.
they do that.
But would you blame her for biting me if I squeezed her?
I have respect for them.
Yes.
I just don't want them near me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to switch
That
over so that
is-
you can see.
What is her name again?
Her name's Beyonce. She's the star of the show.
I love that.
Well, she's a curly hair tarantula. This species is native
She's
to Honduras.
beautiful.
We've
She
had
is
her
beautiful.
for 9 years.
Wow.
She was the size of
wow.
a pinky nail when we got her.
Holy
And now
cow.
What?
she can barely fit on my hands.
Oh
She
my
could live
gosh.
for 35 years,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
is amazing.
She's
Yeah.
an amazing creature. Now, I'm going to switch over to the microscope view, and I want to show you a couple things. I want to show you the eyes, because she has 8 eyes, but
Ooh.
tarantulas don't see very well. They see shadow and light. Jess, can you do the shadow and light thing while I get this set
I
up?
can, yeah. So if you think about if you're in a brightly lit room and you close your eyes, and if
Right.
you move your hand over your eyes, you can
Yes.
still see your hand.
Right.
You can't see the details of your hand, right? It's just the shadow. And so that's how she sees with 8 of her eyes. And on the
Oh.
scope view right now, you can
Right.
see that dome sort of right there in the center.
Right.
Yep.
All 8 of her eyes are on that dome. And so you've got the 2 main, and I can't point them out right now, but there's like 2 main eyes right up here on the
Right.
top, and then there are 3 on each side
Yep.
around the egg.
Okay.
Wow.
So you can
Okay.
see all of these hairs. The reason why
Wow.
tarantulas have these hairs is because they help to see their way around, kind of like
Oh, that
whiskers
makes
on a
sense.
cat.
Yeah.
That makes
Okay.
sense. And then I do want to show you one of our favorite things, which is tarantula toes.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Aren't they
That's
cute?
like seeing a puppy.
I know, like a little
Yeah.
kitty paw.
Until you pull back and you realize
And
it has
then,
8
and
legs.
then I want to show you one of the coolest things. I'm going to pull silk out of her abdomen for us here. And so tarantulas are true spiders. All true spiders have venom and they make silk. This is what differentiates them
Right.
from other arachnids. I'm going to just like focus in here. And she has silk glands in her abdomen and then these organs called spinnerets.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah.
So
we can
it
see
floats
it. Yeah.
in and out of focus because it is so lightweight. And she lays a sheet of silk. It's not like a single strand, and she doesn't make
Right.
a web like, say, an orb weaver spider that you would find in the garden
Right.
or in the corner of, an eave or something. She actually uses it to stabilize her habitat. So she'll line her burrow with it to keep her burrow from falling in. Also, so that she's got a good place to like hang on to with her tarsal claws when she goes to molt. So as she
Okay.
grows and she's got a crack out of her exoskeleton, she needs
Right.
a little bit of leverage. And so that silk can provide that for her.
Yeah.
It looked like cotton candy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It looked
does.
like
Yeah.
super zoomed in to, yeah.
Yeah.
And silk, when it's inside the spider, is liquid, and when it hits the
Mhm.
air, it turns solid. It is a fascinating substance.
That is
It
cool.
has an incredible strength to it, meaning it can stretch without breaking. It's called tensile strength, where it has incredible flexibility in its strength. It's not strong. It's not like tough like a rock. It has flexibility strength, and it's used in all kinds of materials. This is what's so interesting about bugs in general. We have this phrase that we use forever. It's called "bugs did it first." Like humans, we're so hype on our own inventions, but really, like nature figured out a lot of cool
Oh,
things
yeah.
first.
Oh yeah.
And so the paper that we write on, the paper that is made of wood pulp, that's
Mm-hmm.
wasps. We learned that by observing wasps chewing wood and creating the paper wasp nests, right? Because before that, paper that humans used was made of cloth, like silks and wools
Yep.
and linens and things. And we use the silk from large spiders in Madagascar. They were some of the first fishing nets. The
Yep.
silk is so tough and strong. It was some of the first fishing nets used. It's sterile, so sometimes it was used as bandages. I mean,
Mhm.
stuff is incredible. And when you start to dig into the arthropod world, you see these connections where humans are now doing things that are kind of amazing. And you think, oh, but that's a lot like this thing that I saw in the bug world. And if we can look to nature and respect it and get excited by it, we can learn so
Mhm.
much from it. But we can't learn from things
Right.
that we're constantly trying to kill and get rid of.
Void
No.
and swat away.
Yeah.
Avoid and swat
Yes.
away,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's-
Exactly.
No,
Yes.
that's biomimicry. Right?
Biomimicry.
exactly.
Absolutely.
I did a book for National Geographic Kids called Beastly Bionics, and it's all about biomimicry. And there's one where they have created a robot spider based on a tarantula
Mhm.
that's small enough that it can climb into, say like your building comes down or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it could climb and do all the different things. So yeah, I'm huge into biomimicry because animals did it first, right?
Yeah.
Like, they had to
Absolutely.
figure all of these things out. So
Yeah, it's incredible.
that's really cool.
I would like to ask before we end up having to move on, because there are so many different arthropods.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about a lot of them. You've shown us some really cool ones already. We know we could talk to you for hours and hours.
We could be here
because
for the week.
Yeah, a long time. Is there an arthropod for each of you that you have not experienced up close that you would like to?
Like a top 5 list?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, you really brought the heat, Jeff.
Bring it.
I mean, Jessica and I have a rotating top 5 list that we have to keep rotating because we're very lucky that we get to experience this and that we have created this as our lives. I mean, this is what we do all the time is we go and we teach about these animals and we meet other scientists who are doing work with these incredible animals. I mean, we stepped off of the boat in the Amazon the first time we went and had to just completely remake our top 5 list because we saw everything in the first 5 minutes on our night hike. But Jess, I'm going to let you say one of your ones on the top 5 because I mean mine are.
Well, and it's like the top 5 because it's constantly rotating. It's hard to like nail one down.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Well, while you're thinking, I love that you keep checking them off the list so that the list keeps changing instead of having it be your wish list forever, but you never do it.
Yeah.
Or you've done it and then you move on to something else. No. Refresh that list, people. Life is amazing.
I'm going to throw out 2 number ones. Is that okay?
Okay.
Do it.
Please.
A
coconut crab.
Yeah.
Okay.
A coconut crab and one of the centipedes that eats bats. I know that's on Kristie's list too.
Yeah, of course.
But centipedes are interesting, and
centipedes are fascinating.
They're not something that I have studied super deeply.
And we don't touch centipedes. I want to be very clear to people who are listening. This is not an invitation. None of this. Liking an animal or learning about an animal is never an invitation for you to go out and pet it, touch it, scoop it up, do some kind of like hashtag be brave nonsense. No. I want you to be respectful. If we could have that as a code of conduct, because I want all of you to enjoy nature and to enjoy like encounters with these animals in a safe and respectful way where you come out of it healthy and not stung or bitten, and where the animal comes out of it healthy and not harmed. So look with your eyes and do not touch. And I know that I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because I'm like literally sitting here holding a tarantula right now. But I have to remind you that we have studied these animals for a really long time. And when Beyonce is showing me certain body language, just like a dog that you would not pet if it was snarling and growling at you, I don't pick Beyonce up, my tarantula up, when her knees are over her eyes, when she is showing any reticence, which means like she's not acting like she is interested in walking onto my hands. I never just swoop in and grab her. I'm very respectful of how she's doing. I read her body language as best I can. So that's just a side note for you. I didn't mean to get scoldy, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's important because
it is
important.
It's an important
arthropods
part
have
of
defenses.
this story.
It is because,
Yeah.
I don't even touch centipedes. Like we don't handle centipedes. It doesn't make them bad or mean that they have venom. It just means that venom is very, very not meant for our bodies. And some of the venoms can be quite powerful and dangerous. And also you never know how your body is going to react to venom. So you just be mindful of that. Oh, Jessica, those were good ones. I'm gonna up the ante. And even though I don't love cold weather, I'm gonna say the Antarctic sea spiders. They are not technically arachnids, but they are arthropods, and they can be very long, legged and they can be bright orange and they live underneath ice shelves in the water. They're called pycnogonids. I
Oh my
believe I'm saying that
God.
right. And I apologize if I'm not saying it right, but Latin is hard. So they are these wild, they're called sea spiders. And that has been a dream of mine forever to see one of those. And I want to dive and see them because I'm a
That's
diver and I
cool.
really enjoy seeing arthropods underneath the water.
Wow.
Yes. Oh,
I never heard of those.
wild.
Yeah.
I mean, Google it immediately. Yeah. And then let's see. Oh, well, there's one camel spider, Dinorax, that I want to see, and it's in Malaysia.
Well, that's just a cool name.
I know, right?
Dinorax.
Like, what do you want? What do you want from your life? But it's tropical instead of being from an arid desert, which is where most of the camel spiders are. And
Okay.
it's quite big. And yeah, it's my beacon. It's the thing that I think about at night when I go to sleep. We all have dreams, people. Just, stay focused and don't judge.
All right, Jess, do you have the fifth one? Do you have one more?
Yes. Please hold.
The coconut crab, centipede that eats bats,
Yep.
the Antarctic sea spiders,
Yep.
Dinorax, and
Can I actually add in one more that I think Kristie might enjoy?
Yes.
Okay.
It's another solifuge. The little tiny ones in Namibia that swim through the sand dunes
Oh, wow.
that Kristie describes
happening.
as teddy bears with fangs. And I am here for that description. So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
add that to the list.
I mean, the world is big and vast, and there's so many things. Also, I think I'm really interested in seeing what lives in people's backyards all over the world,
Yeah.
because I also,
Like that.
it's not just about sort of like seeking out this big adventure. I want everyone to know that there are things that you have not seen that live in your own backyards, no matter who is listening to this. There are incredible creatures that live in all of our backyards and all of the parks down the street, everywhere, that are alien and wondrous and incredible that we have not, that you have not seen, that we have not seen. And if we take a little bit more time to explore our own hometowns, our own parks, our own backyards, we get that sense of adventure. You do not have to go to the Amazon rainforest. You do not have to go to Fiji to see a coconut crab. You can literally take 3 steps outside and see something that you have never seen before. And that is what makes bugs and arthropods so incredible to us, is that we can inspire people all over the world to walk outside and be an explorer and an adventurer in a space, in
That's
a
awesome.
city, in a park, anywhere.
Mhm.
They are everywhere all over the planet. And every single human on the planet has had an encounter with an arthropod. And it's something that ties us together as humans. We're not so different from bugs, and we're not so different from each other that we don't have some common experiences around bugs. So be an explorer and go outside. And especially when the springtime comes, that's a great way for you to experience your backyard in a brand new way. Put your small eyes on and go see it.
That is a great way to kind of segue into we're almost to our challenge here. But before we do the challenge, I want you guys to tell everybody where they can find you, because you're not just here on our podcast, which is amazing, but where can they find you on your website and out in the world?
Yes.
Yeah. So our website is thebugchicks.com.
Okay.
And then you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook we're basically at the Bug Chicks everywhere.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we're on social media. Our website, kid questions. If you have questions about bugs, send those to our email, thebugchicks@gmail.com. We love those.
And actually, we're going to be starting a new thing where we make video content where we answer questions just like this.
Oh, cool.
Of all kid questions. We normally do it when we go into schools, but now we're just going to do it for every question that we get. And in fact, they're our favorite emails to get. So if you have bug questions, email us and we will answer them. And they're the first emails we will respond to.
Those are the fun ones.
Business is hard.
Yes. Okay. So now we are at the time in our show where we ask our guests to give our listeners a challenge. I'm curious what the Bug Chicks will give us for a challenge.
Yes. And it does tie in with what I just said. Our challenge that we're going to give you is, what can you do to support the bugs that live in and around or near your house? And by support, I mean, how can you create better habitat? How can you keep habitat that's already there and not destroy it? It's winter in most of the North American continent, but it's actually the perfect time to support pollinators that are going to come out in the spring and summer. A lot of people rake up their leaves and then they put the leaves in the trash, and the trash comes and gets the leaves. Well, you just raked up a bunch of moth and butterflies and pupae and larvae and eggs of
And the
pollinators.
insulation that keeps them warm when they're in the soil.
Yes. And so if you like fireflies, we need that layer of leaves. Think of leaves as like a cozy blanket over baby fireflies that are in the soil. And so there's all sorts of things like that that you can be doing. And like, think about ways that you can support with habitat the animals that you really want to see in the spring and the summer, because it's going to be here before you know it.
And if you're in a city, you still have the ability to do that. If you've got, a little bit of, balcony space or a courtyard space or
a little garden, a little
garden, you still have the ability to make that happen.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. Oh my gosh, this has been such an amazing show. I have learned so much about bugs and arthropods and all these cool things. And although I still don't know if I would be brave enough to hold Beyonce, the tarantula spider, I have a huge respect for her. And next time I will not go around the insect place at the zoo, but through it. How's that?
Yes. Honestly, progress.
This is good. This is progress. We're very happy with this.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for being on Solve for Kids.
Thank you very much. You are very convincing in why we all need to experience this a little bit more.
Yes.
Thank you for having us, and everyone have fun.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
What a fun episode. And I definitely think we are going to be changing some listeners' minds, because Kristie and Jess definitely know how to talk about bugs, educate about bugs, and they really are important all over our world, no matter where we are.
Yeah, and I mean, they changed my mind about some of them, and they have such really cool bugs. I mean, I don't know if I'm still going to touch the tarantula, but it was really cool to see and to watch this beautiful creature. So hopefully, as you said, it'll change some minds about this. And if not, maybe this challenge will get you to think more about bugs.
Definitely. What a direct challenge that Kristie and Jess are putting into all of our laps. How can we support bugs in our area? This is a wide open door. We can watch some Bug Chick videos. We can go back and listen to this episode again. We can learn more about the bugs that are in our area and then find out what it is that we can do. A lot of the things I think we're going to find out are very simple for us as humans to either do or not do. Like the ladies were mentioning, don't rake up all those leaves and get rid of them. The bugs need them, but there are going to be lots of opportunities to do this.
Yes, absolutely. There's so many things that you can do to help support the bugs in your area, and realize that, maybe your first step is just realizing how important they are. To
Very true.
Everything that we have going around. So if you come up with some ideas and you want to share them with us, please reach out. We are at Kids Solve at Facebook, X, and Instagram. And you can also check out our website, solveforkids.com. And don't forget to check out the Bug Chicks website and a lot of the YouTube videos that they have and all that kind of stuff. They do an amazing job, and yet they have so much fun talking about entomology and educating everybody on this.
Absolutely. And with Jennifer in Florida and Jeff in Colorado, we will each be going out to see what bugs are in our areas. Until next time, you'll hear Jen and Jeff on the Science Podcast for kids and families.
Solve it for kids.